Today, we are going to translate fuel efficiency directly into cash in your pocket, uncovering the hidden science behind your car's fuel economy. Welcome to This Explainer.
We're taking a deep dive into the anatomy of efficiency. Our goal today is to take what most people consider a pretty mundane, everyday topic, saving gas, and transform it into a fascinating, science-backed exploration that will, quite literally, pay you back. We're going to look at the physics of your vehicle, the hidden forces working against you, and the simple tweaks that can drastically improve your mileage.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, the science of fuel loss. 2, beating aerodynamic drag. 3, maintenance that actually pays off. 4, smarter driving habits. And 5, taking it to the extreme. So, kicking things off with Section 1, the science of fuel loss and where exactly that energy goes. To really get how to save fuel, we first have to face the core problem. Internal combustion engine cars are, honestly, inherently inefficient machines. They're basically heat engines that just happen to produce movement as a byproduct. According to data documented on Wikipedia, when you're cruising at 60 kilometers per hour, a staggering amount of your fuel's energy never even makes it to the wheels. Get this, 33% goes straight out the exhaust. Another 29% is purely eaten up just cooling the engine down. Add in 11% for internal engine friction, and you quickly realize a massive chunk of the gas you pay for simply vanishes into heat and noise. The remaining energy is left to fight tire rolling friction, air drag, and braking. It is kind of a miracle we move at all. And it gets way worse when you aren't even moving. Idling is the ultimate inefficiency, right? Because you are getting exactly 0 miles to the gallon. The AA ran tests on automatic stop-start technology, the system that shuts your engine off at a red light. Using an urban driving simulation, they found that letting this system engage can save motorists up to $179 annually, assuming 15,000 miles a year and standard fuel prices. That is literally free money just for letting the car turn itself off instead of burning gas to sit completely still. Moving right along to Section 2, beating aerodynamic drag and becoming a smooth operator. Now, what's really interesting about this is that once you push past 60 kilometers per hour, wind resistance becomes the absolute dominant factor sapping your fuel economy. Pushing air out of the way takes energy, and that energy requirement grows exponentially with your speed. Just look at the sheer impact of one tiny accessory. The experts at Car and Driver ran a real-world test on a Kia Carnival minivan. They suspected the factory crossbars on the roof were hurting their mileage, so they spent 10 minutes removing them and ran their highway test again. The result? No joke, a massive 12% boost in highway fuel economy. It jumped from 25 to 28 miles per gallon just by popping off 2 metal bars. Let's translate that 12% boost into financial terms because it makes it even more compelling. By removing those crossbars, you are extending your highway driving range by about 60 miles per tank. Car and Driver calculated that this simple act saves about $14 for every 1,000 miles driven. Over the course of an average driving year, that is roughly enough cash saved to completely pay for a year of your favorite streaming subscription, all from just unbolting an empty roof rack when you aren't using it. All right, Section 3, maintenance that pays off. Time to prepare your ride. So we've talked aerodynamics, but what about the things you can control before you even put the key in the ignition? Proper maintenance isn't just about preventing breakdowns. It is a direct investment in your vehicle's energy efficiency. We're talking reducing idling, checking your tires, ensuring your AC is running efficiently. These small tweaks act as a blueprint for massive savings at the pump. A well-maintained machine simply requires a lot less energy to do the exact same amount of work. Let's rattle off some quick, data-driven wins from Offenberg Chevrolet and AJ Tires. First up, maintaining proper tire pressure is absolutely crucial. Underinflated tires physically deform more, increasing rolling resistance, which quickly drains your wallet. But keeping them properly inflated, that boosts your economy by up to 3%. Furthermore, replacing a dirty air filter lets your engine actually breathe, improving combustion and giving you up to a 10% boost in efficiency. Even taking 55 pounds of heavy clutter out of your trunk saves you 1%. Keep an eye on those spark plugs too. Every little bit counts. And definitely don't forget the lifeblood of your engine, the oil. Using the exact manufacturer-recommended motor oil grade is essential. Say your car requires 5W30, but you use a thicker oil, like a 10W30. You actually increase the internal friction of the engine components. The engine has to work harder just to push that thicker oil around. And that alone can lower your gas mileage by 1 to 2%. Which brings us to Section 4, smarter driving habits and the human element. So, the crucial point is this. You can have the most aerodynamically perfect, impeccably maintained car in the world, but if you drive it poorly, you will still waste fuel. Your behavior directly dictates consumption. Rapid acceleration, aggressively stomping on the pedals, hard braking, and excessive speeding are the absolute enemies of efficiency. In fact, aggressive driving can tank your gas mileage by a staggering 30% at highway speeds. You're essentially pouring gasoline directly onto the road. So what is the ideal speed? Well, for most vehicles, there is a recognized sweet spot for fuel efficiency, typically right between 35 and 50 miles per hour. At this speed, your car is usually resting in its highest gear, meaning the engine RPMs are low and efficient. Crucially, at these medium speeds, aerodynamic drag hasn't yet turned into the massive exponential wall it becomes at 70 or 80 miles per hour. Cruising steadily in this zone is how you maximize your MPG. Think about the difference here. Aggressive driving forces the engine to burn rich fuel mixtures during rapid acceleration, only to have all that kinetic energy violently thrown away as heat when you brake hard. Smooth driving, on the other hand, is all about anticipation. If you see a red light ahead, just ease off the throttle early and coast. By timing the traffic lights to avoid a full stop, you preserve your kinetic energy. It takes vastly less fuel to accelerate from 10 miles per hour back to cruising speed than it does from a complete dead stop. Finally, Section 5. Taking it to the extreme. The art of hypermiling. To understand the absolute extremes of fuel efficiency, we have to look at a highly advanced strategy called pulse and glide. This is used by drivers who treat efficiency not as a casual goal, but as an obsession. Most everyday engines operate at only a tiny fraction of their maximum efficiency during normal cruising. Pulse and glide exploits this. The driver accelerates briskly, the pulse, putting the engine into a high torque, highly efficient zone to quickly store kinetic energy. Then they shift into neutral, or even turn the engine off completely to coast, the glide. Bouncing between efficient acceleration and zero consumption gliding can yield up to a 20% fuel savings over just maintaining a constant speed. Crazy, right? And this brilliantly illustrates the core ethos of a community known as hypermilers. These are hardcore enthusiasts who use pulse and glide, drafting, extreme weight reduction, and meticulous vehicle setup to view driving as a complex, real-time energy management game. They don't just drive, they orchestrate momentum. And the results these hypermilers achieve are genuinely mind-blowing. Through these extreme techniques, drivers have achieved a verified 109 miles per gallon in a standard Toyota Prius. And it isn't just hybrids either. Hypermilers have squeezed an incredible 59 miles per gallon out of a standard plain old Honda Accord. It proves just how much potential energy is sitting totally untapped in our everyday vehicles. Look, you don't have to become an extreme hypermiler to reap the rewards of this science, but the data is pretty clear. Your car is a machine of physics, and understanding those physics pays real dividends. So I'll leave you with a challenge. Look at the strategies we've covered today. Whether it's finally taking off that empty roof rack, checking your tire pressure this weekend, or just anticipating the red light on your drive to work tomorrow, which one data-driven habit will you change on your next commute to start saving money? Keep learning, keep optimizing, and enjoy those savings at the pump